calling all you women who are go-getters, ladies who do all the things and seem to have it all together. Business leaders, mothers, volunteers, and household managers who get things done. You ladies give everything to everyone every day. You're 100% committed, you're loyal, and you're driven. But you're also exhausted, stressed out, overwhelmed, and just generally feel like crap. Let me introduce you to self-care for female leaders. This program specializes in helping you female leaders prioritize self-care without sacrifice. Your coach will help you streamline your schedule, get clear on your goals and priorities, and help you learn to fuel your body for the lifestyle you want to live. This program makes time for you easy to find. It eliminates stress, it increases your energy, and helps you finally feel like the badass you are. So if you're ready to ditch the stress and start feeling more like yourself again, click the link to schedule a discovery call today.
Very excited to introduce this week's guest on the HomeBod podcast. This is Stacy Steck. He was born and raised in Utah, and that's how I got to first start interacting with him and start referring him to clients. But he also served 7 years as active duty Air Force, which is another connection for me because I was raised the Air Force brat, and I know that. I understand that world. And that's also one of the reasons why I am doing what I am doing from moving so much. But he's married with 4 kids, so he knows what it's like to, be stressed and have lots of things going on. But he's also very ambitious, outgoing. He loves to try pretty much almost anything. But how I know him is as a woodworker with Steck's Woodworking. Stacy, you do a lot of gorgeous, beautiful, custom-made woodworking designs. I mean, it is like, you want eye candy? I scroll through his Facebook page and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I want that and I want that. And I mean, you kind of span the spectrum of, you can make a custom frame, but you can also make huge custom built-in cabinets in homes and things like that. So, I mean, how did you get into woodworking and why do you do what you do?
So for me, the start point for me came from my father. My father was a tradesman and he owns his own business. And in the evenings, he would like to do some woodworking for a stress reliever. And so he had a little tiny bedroom set up in our basement of our house where he would just go and tinker in the nights. And of course, it'd be 7, 8 o'clock at night. And so I would run down there as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old child and try to be with my dad and sweep up sawdust and all these kinds of things. And of course, he'd let me do a little bit, but then of course he'd send me on to bed, and my bedroom was right above that shop. So I would just sit there and listen to those machines whir and go and hear them clanking around as I was lying in bed at night. And that was kind of like the very first exposure. And so my dad put tools in my hands from the very, very get-go. And I didn't really appreciate it too much until I was a dad myself. I found myself in the military doing air traffic control, which was something that was, I was sitting in a chair all day long, just watching that radar sweep go round and round and round. And while it was challenging and interesting, it didn't give me the same kind of satisfaction as having a byproduct, like watch my efforts. Here's what's happened because of all my hard work. And so I went to a wood hobby shop that was on base, and I wanted to build a bed frame for my daughter, who was, I think, 3 at the time. And I started building a bed, and I realized, gosh, I really miss this. Not just a little bit, but a lot. And that bed was just a Kickstarter. And it really just kind of launched me into the mentality that this is the magic. This is the satisfaction that I feel in life. And this is what I wanted to do. And so when my service was up, my contract was up, I got out and I changed careers and sought the first woodworker that would hire me.
That's a huge pivot.
That's amazing.
Of a career change. Holy moly. But we always talk, Ashley and I always talk about, doing what makes you happy, right? And sometimes completely changing the direction of your career and your life can be that. And I think a lot of people hesitate. Was that scary for you
Oh,
to go from this pretty much a guaranteed gig, like you're going to get a job out of the Air Force, to I think I'll just do this on my own?
it was the biggest life choice I feel like I've had to make. And forgive me and my wife, for saying, like, she's a big decision too, but that was a
We won't.
serious decision, because I cut my income by 60%.
Mm.
So I really dialed it back. I walked away from 7 years towards a retirement, and yeah, it was a big deal. But it was that job satisfaction, as you mentioned. I was totally willing to put in hard hours, long hours towards woodworking, and I really wouldn't do that for other things. I was always trying to dodge out of other responsibilities or air traffic control. So that was kind of the wake up call for me, is I found what I was passionate about, and fortunately I had a small bit of talent that I could grow and foster. I don't always encourage people to chase your passions if you have no skill at it whatsoever.
There is something to be said about the saying, like, just do what you love, because it doesn't necessarily bring an income.
Yeah, you got to actually like have some sort of skill and knowledge of it
Right.
before you just jump ship and dive into
And
it.
I think there are a lot of different ways that we could take this conversation, but the thing that keeps coming to my mind is looking at what you do and your craftsmanship. Uh I would consider you probably consider yourself a high-end woodworker. I mean, the things that you make are absolutely beautiful. Um, Talk a little bit about the mindset of, so I want to differentiate between your mindset and the people that you work for, their mindset, because a lot of times, um, women especially, for some reason, because we're focusing on raising families, or doing womanly things, we don't feel like we deserve the best. And so when I talk to somebody who is considered high end at what they do,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of mindset and mentality do you yourself get into to say, I know that I'm good, and I know the type of service I can provide, and therefore, yeah, I am high end, and I'm going to I'm going to advertise myself as high end, and I'm going to ask for high end prices. How did you get yourself into that mindset of, I'm amazing,
I'm worth it,
and I'm worth it? Dang it.
yeah. Yeah.
That's a big question, I feel, but I've always had self-confidence, and anything that I did and learned, I always tried to take it to the next level, the next step. So I applied that when I was an apprentice, with a master carpenter woodworker teaching me. I gleaned everything that I possibly could. I asked all the questions, and I was fortunate enough to have a mentor who emphasized quality as the first person who taught me. So it kind of matched my personality and mindset, and so I took it and ran. So now, as I'm on my own, when I think about building a project for somebody and the quality and asking for high end and how do I feel the value and worth for it, like I have researched and I have read books and I have trained and practiced, and I go through a series of trial and errors in my own shop at my own expense on my own time, so I don't get it wrong for my clients. And that knowledge, I guess, just really, really empowers me. It gives me the self-confidence to know that, hey, I've done this 5 times already and it works. And projects that I have built with good foundations, starting 5, 6, 7 years ago, I still have a few pieces lingering around my house, and I don't see any of the faults that I see with a lot of like new beginning woodworkers. And that just bolsters my confidence more. So I feel like maybe I'm going on a tangent. So course correct me and refine the question if you want. But I feel like I can charge and deliver high end mostly because I care. I care so much about giving somebody exactly what I would want. And I put so much thought into every single piece that I build that people aren't even aware of. I
I think
take
that's across the board. I think that applies to anyone who is good at what they do. I mean, I know Ashley can and should charge more than most organizers because she does the same thing, right? She doesn't just go in and organize your books and put them in like alphabetical order. She goes in with the thought of how is this going to translate to the rest of your life. I imagine you do that with your pieces. If I have you build me a bed frame, you're not just going to build a bed frame, you're building a bed frame that you're thinking that I'm probably going to be looking at every single day
Yeah.
forever and ever and into eternity. Because usually you get a really nice bed frame, it's like get handed down to your kids. So, that's like one of those things that you literally look at it every day. I mean, I know I do that with my clients. I don't just throw out workouts. I don't just throw out macro plans. Like Google can do that for you. It's putting in the care, and I promise you that this is going to give you what you're seeking, whether it's, a space that is functional and you can live in forever, or a bed that you go to bed in every night being very proud of the fact that you spent what you did on it, or, the fact that you got the results that you were looking for, that you've been striving for so long. So I love that. I think that's awesome.
I'm very, very fortunate that my work has a physical byproduct that people can see, touch, smell, and I know that I've done a good job when I deliver the project and the client just can't keep their hands off of it.
I was just going to ask that. I was thinking, like, as your clients, they get whatever, the bookshelf, you build them or whatever. Do you have people who kind of questioned, oh my gosh, should I invest in this? Is this too much? And then come back and say, yes, so glad I did. Because I know that sometimes is a boundary for people. They don't want to make that initial investment. They're afraid to make that initial investment. I mean, I had someone ask me the other day, I guess this is similar to going to a good restaurant and asking if the food is good. And I said, yeah, I said, it kind of is, but she was basically like, is this going to work? I mean, because you want to know before I give you this money or give you my time or allow you to destroy my house, is this going to work? Is it worth the investment? So how do your clients react to that when you initially give them the bid and then deliver?
I'm going to be completely honest. My clients are hard to find. My clients are very hard to find because I try to charge according to the talents that I feel like I have. And so I'm charging a premium. And so I get a lot of kickback. Maybe only 1 out of 15 people that approach me actually say yes, because I know what I'm worth. And it doesn't always meet, but when I deliver said product, I'm always looking to them. I'm looking in their eyes. I'm looking for the visual cues. And if I don't see them, if I don't see that they're pleased right off the bat upon like the unveiling of this furniture piece, I'm immediately wondering, okay, what haven't I done to not meet their expectations?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, in 6 years or so, I've worked with over probably 200 people that I've delivered products for. And I think that only 3, give or take, had some little qualm that they wanted fixed. Like one person, hey, there was a little bit of a scuff that happened in transport. I totally understood that. I course corrected. We fixed it. I delivered it brand new. A little hiccup in the road, but I follow through even if it means that I don't get any money for it. I want people to love that piece. I want my furniture pieces, as you said, to be those heirlooms that are handed down.
I think a good piece is. I mean, I love my mom's stuff that was my grandma's,
Oh yeah.
I hope that she'll hang on to it long enough that I can get it. But talk to me about the mindset. You said, 1 out of 15 say yes.
Mhm.
That's tough.
That's really tough.
I was just telling Ashley prior to this, my little girl's selling Girl Scout cookies. And this year she's gotten a lot more no's than she normally gets.
Mhm.
And it was tough. It was it was tough, and she was resilient, and she did a good job of like getting back up, every time. But 1 out of 15, that's tough. What do you do? How do you, what's your mindset on that?
It's discouraging. It can honestly be very discouraging to have that many people say no to your face.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to surround myself with other entrepreneurs and other people that are like-minded, who understand quality, who understand art, and they support me, and they help reinforce my values, because it's so easy to slip. It's so easy to start caving in to the mentality that all these people are telling you, like, you're too expensive, this is ridiculous, and you start to doubt about yourself and wonder, like, am I too expensive? Am I being ridiculous?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and I see this underlying lesson that when we say it out loud, it's like, no, duh. But honestly, it comes from, I mean, what you've just talked about is, hey, you know what? I had a talent, but I had a desire. I figured out how to do it. I learned it. I put it into practice until I got to the point where I knew my worth. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to surround myself with my tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and boy, oh boy, and I'm going to thrive because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, when we say it out loud like that, it's like, well, yeah, that's just common sense. That's how you succeed in life. But to watch it actually happen in progress, and to see you go through those steps, and to say, no, really, this does work.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This really is the mindset that we have to have. This really is the system and the process that we go through to find success. I mean, that right there is a great lesson, to be able to see it in action.
I think that it's all internal. Like 100%, it's internal. It stems from you. I mean, yes, I just mentioned that I try to collect support from other people, but ultimately it comes down to us. And when I throw up a post on social media that I think that I did a great job and it's a great video or great project, and then I get no comments, no
Crickets.
likes. Yes, it's just silence. It's like, wow, well, that hurt a little bit, but you know what? The client's happy, and
In the
I'm happy.
words of our dear friend Dr. D, those aren't your people.
Nope.
Those aren't your people. She said that to
So,
me early on in quarantine, because I was getting a little bit of blowback like that. And she's like, those aren't your people. I was like, you're right. Those aren't my people. I don't care.
as long as my client's happy and I'm happy,
Yeah.
it really doesn't matter.
But you have to find your people. Like you said, you have to find like-minded people. And Ashley and I have talked about that on this podcast a lot, that you need to surround yourself with the right people, whether it's people who encourage you to be healthier, people who encourage you to develop better habits, or, change your lifestyle. If you're trying to stop, depending on shopping or cookies for your, emotional support, and you are trying to do something different than the norm, right? The norm
Wow.
shops at a big box store. The norm puts together plywood furniture, and that's what they live in.
Correct.
The norm doesn't get some really nice, I mean, the desk I'm sitting at right now is my grandmother's, and it weighs as much as a car, and but it's like 200 years old, and it's beautiful, right? If you want something that's going to last, whether it's your house is organized in a specific way so that it stays that way, or your body looks and feels a certain way so it stays that way, sometimes you have to invest. Sometimes you got to go premium. You can't go to the store that starts with a W. You can't
and I
just
think,
Google it. You can't just go
right?
buy a bin at the dollar store, right?
Well, and what a great example, Stacy, for you to say, hey, I worked and worked and worked and worked at this. Yeah, I was exposed early on, but in order to get really good and be able to say I am the best at what I do, you can't go to the gym and lift 10-pound dumbbells once a week and think that you're going to get
And call it good.
to go to Mr. Olympia. I mean, you can't own a table saw and a sander and think that you're going to do high-end work. I mean, the dedication and the passion that you have to put into that, I think must have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Let me give you an example of some of the things that like I've had to do or I've chosen to do to try to reach my goals and dreams and with that. So, I'd go to work working for somebody else 8 hours a day, but then in the evenings I would still watch, some YouTube videos to see what's current, what's trending. I'd be on woodworking groups on Facebook, asking questions and seeing what's going on there. But I would actually chase down textbooks. Textbooks are there by real professionals who have done it. People who've dedicated 38 years just to the application of just the finish, not the construction, but just the finish. 38 years dedicated to that. I'm reading his book, and I'm like, what are you doing? And for example, he says that, so many people, they just spray on that lacquer or that varnish and then they're done. But this textbook talks about, we need to take it a step further. You need to finish the finish. You need to be buffing it out, and you need to be putting on the sealant, and you need to be considering what's going on with, where's the piece of furniture going? It's built right here in Utah, which is a dry climate. But what if I'm shipping it to Miami? It's a humid climate,
Yeah.
and I have to compensate for that. And I have to know that if I have clients outside of this climate that I'm in. So the example of like what I do is that, like, I have spent 3 days playing with stain matches and colors and doing different ratios. I'm like, okay, if I sanded my board to 150 and I stain it, what does it do? I sand my board to 180 and I stain it, what does it do? And I just start playing around until I see what works and what's failing and what's giving me the desired end results. And I will do all kinds of research and development on my own personal time, trying to be better, to be top tier, because it makes me feel good, and that pride that I can take in my work and deliver that. Maybe the client won't understand it, maybe the client won't perceive it, but I've encountered people that have looked at my furniture and have said, I love it. There's something that just, it's warm, it speaks to me, and I can't pinpoint which feature is really like speaking volume, but I just love this so much and I can't put a finger on why. And it's like, well,
My mom always said it's the things that you don't notice that make the biggest difference.
Absolutely. Yep. Especially in a home.
Yes.
Especially in a home. When you walk in a home and you can't quite figure out why it just feels good, right? Why it just flows, or why. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love what you said too about, if you basically, it was your side hustle, right, for a minute. And there are a lot of people right now who are pursuing that, and they're trying to start something. They're trying to do something on the side of their regular 9 to 5. And if you don't take it seriously, if you don't, deep dive and educate yourself and really try to figure out how to do it right, if you just kind of half-ass it, I think I'm going to try my hand at painting and selling paintings, it's not going to get you anywhere. Like, regardless of what you're trying to do, if you're trying to start a business where you're, serving people in a different way, you need to know what's current, you need to know how to do it, and you need to make sure that you are the best expert at it that right? Use your resources wisely. I love that. Well, this was
business
really
starts with technical, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to know the technical side and be good at that first, and then you start approaching the business side and learning well, or do them both together. Somebody who really inspired me, he had a saying for it. He was doing a full-time job, and then he had a part-time job, and trying to build up his business, that part-time job. And he says, mentally, you're either a wantrepreneur or you're an entrepreneur. You got to pick one.
I like it.
He said,
that's awesome.
If you're not serious about it, really, and if you're not willing to do what it takes, you're just a wantrepreneur.
Yep.
You just like the idea of owning your own business.
Yeah,
you like
sounds
the
like
idea.
fun.
But
Sounds
a true
like
entrepreneur will do what it takes.
Brilliant.
I love it. I love it. This has been so good. This has been really fun to get.
So many life metaphors and
Yeah.
everything. Like you could just like take little segments of it and like go on rabbit trails down these different thoughts and ideas and avenues.
Not to mention, now I really want to look at your Facebook because I love
can't-
me some really
like,
nice woodwork.
I don't, cruising around in the Container Store is not necessarily eye candy for me. It's things like what Stacy's got going on here that it's like, oh, it's just gorgeous.
I like really nice,
eye candy.
nice, heavy, beautiful, classical furniture. I don't like the modern blah stuff that's super popular. So awesome.
Stacey, if people want to look at your eye candy and cruise around and, maybe commission a piece from you, where do they find you? Where's the best place for them to go?
Oh,
I apologize.
That's all right.
I had to turn on my car to keep the phone charged. So,
no worries.
Sorry, we can edit it out.
Where can we find you?
So, primarily I'm on Facebook. That's my number one platform that I really like to do. So you can find me at my business page, which is at Steck's Custom Wood Shop. So that's where you can find me the best and get a hold of me the easiest. However, I also have my website, which is stackscw.com. And I have contact forms and, but I love a phone call. Phone calls are great. So in any way, do a smoke signal. It'll work.
So old fashioned to actually like speak to a person on the phone. Nobody does that.
Right. Nobody does that anymore. No, excellent. We'll get that all linked up in the show notes so that people know how to get a hold of you. Now, one of the last things that we do is we actually, and this can be informal. You can take a minute to think about it because we want just spur of the moment. We don't ask this ahead of time on purpose, but we do ask for one little, like if you had a sticky note, or we call them happy hacks, that you would advise people, like something that they can do today to make their home, head, or health happier. What would you tell them to do?
Oh. I don't know, maybe this is silly, but I think that every person needs to find a reason to laugh every day, because otherwise the weight of the world just bears down on you. There's so much pushing against you. So I always seek one conversation, one joke, one something to make me laugh and to de-stress just for a moment.
I love it.
Perfect. Brilliant.
That's awesome. Not bad advice at all. Well, what a pleasure it was to meet you and talk to you. And maybe one day down the road, I can get you to make me something cool.
There you go.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to join you on your podcast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good to actually see your face.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
We will see you later.